All right. Are we all prepared? Real quick question. Am I wearing too much Porsche? Should I take some of it off?
Mental's going to say that I invalidate your question. There's no such thing. So,
yeah, exactly. I understand your words. You're not making any sense, man.
Well, sometimes this podcast doesn't make sense.
Sometimes.
I'm hearing from people that can't hear the music. So I'm going to turn up a little. There we go. Welcome to Everyone Racers, a show designed for the world of low-dollar racing and oddball car culture. It doesn't matter what kind of Lemma Champ or Lucky Track Dog League you run, SCC or NASA, we won't discriminate, as long as you drive it hard and built it yourself. Join us each week for tech discussion, tips, tricks, news, and notes in the world of amateur endurance racing, and whether it's on the spot, hella sweet, or we're lucky enough and Chrissy gives us just the tip, we're sure you'll giggle a little and learn even less. Everyone report to the paddock.
This is Chris.
This is Chrissy.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm Mental.
And we are Everyone Racers. Thank you for coming back I am listening to a section of the tax code that allows for business deduction episode of our podcast. It's episode 179. This was the only thing that came up when I searched 179 because there's pages and pages and pages of it. So that's why we went with section 179 of the tax code. If you're not driving a car, make sure you get your bingo card out because you never know what this show is going to bring. Maybe you'll get some bingo.
Or doing your taxes for that matter.
Yeah, it's almost tax time. So
what can we write off of doing this? Like, is there any write-off for something stupid you do with your friends?
Yes, but we have not created the podcast as a business.
In fact, I am exploring this because I have started to interview CPAs for my new LLC, and yeah, we have to make money to write. Well, we have to attempt to make money to start writing.
Don't we do that?
We try. People just don't sponsor us yet.
Exactly. We're getting there.
Okay.
Hey, if you want to sponsor the show
and
speak to our hundreds of listeners who do amateur endurance racing, find us on all the social medias or email us at everyone.racers@gmail.com. We'll even need cash.
We are international.
Yeah. We'll trade for
we
parts.
fell off the Poland section. Hi, Nikki.
Yes, we moved up in the Polish ranks. I was so excited.
Did we? I thought we fell off the Polish. We fell off the Czech rank or something like that.
Whatever.
I blame silly nannies. They blocked us there.
That was right. That's what it was.
They blocked us.
All right, let's talk about what you're working on. He's starting this. Mental, let's start with you. What have you been working on? Because you're the only exciting what you're working on here.
No, that's not true. You just happen to know what Chris and I were working on.
Fine. We don't know what Mental's working on, so go ahead.
All right. So my roof is completely naked. It is down to very, very questionable sheathing. In fact, when you walk up there, there's just places you don't step because it creaks or cracks a little bit. So that'll be fun.
So someone's making a run for some plywood soon.
Exactly. And the construction dumpster that showed up at the house is full. And after Thursday and Friday and Saturday and Sunday and even the last little bit last night, I got out of bed yesterday and every muscle in my fiber went, we hate you. We hate you so much. And we're going to spend the entire day aching and complaining that you did this to us. So it was
your body's reminding you that you're 50.
Yeah. Hey, did you forget what happened last Saturday? Bonehead. Yeah. If you guys remember, back in the early days, we had Bradley Brown on there when he was in the Camden Tub podcast. Well, the other half of that podcast, the cammed part, Cameron Vanderhort, was on Facebook asking if he had any car buddies in the Vegas area. And Sajeev tagged me in it. And so he had found a Roush Stage 1 Mustang, SN95 Mustang, that was selling at a local dealership for just regular Mustang GT price. So he was quite excited because he lives in Ohio and he hadn't seen one without rust forever. And put me in touch with his buddy. And the two of we were going to go car shopping for him. And we pulled up as it drove away because someone showed up and wrote him a check because they knew what a deal it was. It was a good deal.
Wow.
Yeah. That's like every Velociter, and I get an email about.
Where's your I was gonna say tuba. What's that thing you play drum? The trombone.
You have been getting up early, haven't you?
Thank you. We've done wah wah twice now, so I feel like we actually need the trombone.
The sad
I never
trombone.
remember it's there. Ow,
But I actually ended up. So his friend ended up. Obviously, he's a Porsche guy. He runs the Der Faszination website. Has made some Porsche films, and actually that's his job. Is he shoots footage and commercials and things like that. And they have an interesting podcast, a daily Monday through Friday podcast called Bid Nerds. And it's only on YouTube, but they go through every car that not every car. They find interesting cars on cars.bids and Bring a Trailer and the other websites, and they talk about them. And so if you're looking for some interesting background noise, and then he and I ended up, meeting at a couple of different coffee places and then meeting up. So I made a new friend this week. So I've enjoyed all of that.
Cool.
Well, so let's we
Dive right in here.
Yeah, I want to hand it off to Jeff, but before I do, my God, Jim, your hair is so magnificent. And when I put the picture that Chrissy took on the Insta story, I got like so many responses of everything from Ben Franklin to
young Ben Franklin.
Somewhere there's an Applebee's in danger. It is, if you haven't seen it on Facebook, it is glorious.
So it's actually looks longer because he was looking up. So it's not as long as it looks in that picture.
It's pretty long.
It's pretty long.
For
but
a
I feel like
plus-year-old dude, it's
getting
is what
long. It is. It is.
Sure.
It is all party in the back.
That's right.
There is no business in the back.
Well,
Nope.
As Mental said, we all had a work weekend. So
Yay.
Chrissy, myself, my brother, Chris, obviously, we got to show up. And every time I show up for a work weekend, I go, holy cow, Chris, you've done a lot of work in the last month and a half that we've been away.
Somebody's got to work on the Z.
I know. That's exactly what he
amazing.
says. He says, well, somebody's got to do it. So I feel like I should defer to Chris because he's really done more work, but I could jump in if you want me to. I don't know. What do you want to do?
Because you felt guilty at how much work had been done. You did all the ground monkey work.
I did ground.
Well, we can talk about what we worked on this weekend at least.
Sure.
I mean, Chris has done some additional stuff, so we'll just focus on what we've done.
I showed up and I immediately became ground monkey. So, which means I am the one who dives under the car and does all the dirty stuff down there. And I just say, "Ooh, before I get up, what else should be done down here? What else should I be done down here?" So, Chrissy had done the headers. You want to talk about the headers? Because I hung the exhaust.
I was going to talk about the headers. So, I guess we just bounced back and forth. So I had wrapped the headers a couple weeks ago, work weekend that we've had before. So that had I wrapped them with the stuff and the fiberglass stuff. It was full of fiberglass, and then tacked them with metal zip tie,
like tie wraps. Yeah.
And
I think they are called zip ties, but they're called like header zip ties or something.
Okay.
They have
so
a
they're
specific
metal
purpose. Yeah.
Right. So I did that. And then, so they were all already tacked and ready to go. So we got A plus B from our local ceramist. We've been going back and forth. The three of us went back and forth.
It's ceramist.
Ceramist, right? So we thought so, but okay, this is whatever. He'll tell us tomorrow what he is. So the local ceramist gave us A plus B. So you mix A plus B and you get some fun, funky looking stuff. So I painted that 2 layers on all of them. So they were both headers and then both parts of the sections of each exhaust. And so I did that. And so then we let that dry and then we installed them. So I helped. So Chris installed the headers and then we were doing other projects when he was doing that. And then we got under the car and then Jeff and I hung the exhausts. So that's where he is getting at. That's the whole part of that project. Yes.
So we should mention this is the LS swapped 300ZX that we were working on.
Sure.
The only race car really that you guys, but yes, Bill, if you're listening, apparently that post generated a lot of interest and bring your business cards to Pit Race because there's going to be there already a growing market of folks that are interested in buying some A plus B for their headers.
Well, and the best part about having a ceramic engineer, ceramist, however you say it, who is ready to give you chemicals to coat your headers with, he calls us afterwards and says, "Do you mind if we do some post what do you say use discussion?" Did you like it? Did it dry well? Did you like the way that it changed color? Would you like a different color? If you could do one thing different, how would you like it to be done? And I said,
oh my God.
Great.
Oh my God. I forgot how pungent it was.
So I was playing Ground Monkey. So all of the scent just kind of like I was losing oxygen. I was down there. It was
like pretty thick.
Woo.
It was thick everywhere.
Apparently, I have a jar of A and B coming for a motorcycle project, so this is fascinating.
Oh, it's a shame we could have given you an A plus B.
Yeah,
that's right.
We're saving our other A plus B for the Mazda.
Never mind. We're not doing that. You can't have our A plus B.
No, he can't have our A plus B.
Jeff, what else did you... Oh,
yeah.
It didn't smell bad in the can, but when you kept using it, it did. So,
Jeff said
what
it
else?
was like a smooth, kind of
high.
Not like the silver or gold spray paint that you have, but
it was like the
other colors.
Purple paint. It was really good.
I will not live shiny and chrome eternal, but it's all good, man.
It was a lot.
Out of the sunshine, baby. So anyway, I should say that we mentioned a couple of weeks ago, but you probably forgotten because why would you pay attention to such things? That we broke the studs in the install of the oil pan. So
afterward. Who knows?
Yeah. So I spent a decent amount of time. We torqued them right. We know how to use a torque wrench. So anyways,
not Guten tight.
Yeah. So Chris, I think, how many did you drill out?
2.
And I drilled out the third one, but I drilled out the one that the drill bit wouldn't reach. So like I had to snake the drill between the bell housing and the oil pan and press, but don't press. It was a hell of a time, and it took a long time.
And your parents said all those years playing Operation were a waste.
That's right. But we took care of that. Let me see, what else did we do? We did front end work. I built what did I call it, Chrissy? The El Surferino?
El Surfboardo.
El Surfboardo.
That was it. The El Surfboardo. So I basically had a big sheet of aluminum and built the part that will make the front bumper. See, because when you buy a 300ZX for $800 from Rednecks with few teeth and a court case coming up, so they really prefer cash, the front bumper is not going to be attached right. So I had to like bend everything and get all the little screws. I even said, Chrissy, like, go to the bucket of Nissan and get me all the little screws and nuts you can. And that's what we did. So that was a heck of a time. But the front bumper actually, I think, turned out really, really well.
Yeah.
And
did the car come with any kind of under tray whatsoever?
I don't think so.
No, it did not.
No.
Did it come with any kind of real attachment for the front bumper except zip ties?
No. Were the fenders attached well enough to open the doors?
No. Well, one's half. One side.
Yeah.
And then I've got a pry bar out. Yeah. Solve that problem.
Yeah. So I also should say that I bought a lot of the parts that I bought kind of paid off. I bought a C5 Corvette intake pipe. And like we had no idea because our throttle body is like right where the hood should be. And then we thought about going like into the grill, and Chris like literally put it up there and he's like, man, it almost fits. I said, flip it over. And we put it on upside down, and it is the perfect match. So if you were installing a 4.8 LS into a 300ZX Z32, get a C5 intake, flip it over. It'll go right in the grill.
And it's even funnier that the Corvette logo is upside down on it. That just makes it a lot better.
Excellent.
And the Corvette
that has
logo,
to be some sort of sacrilege where, like, if anyone comes near you, their jorts turn into khakis or something.
Yes. The best part about it is the logo is right where the hood meets the grill, so it will be exposed no matter what we do.
Yeah. Totally.
So Chrissy and Chris, jump in. I kind of like went and did all my stuff. So say what you did.
Well, Chrissy has to go last because she's playing our second favorite game.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I did more wiring. I got the power to the ECU all finally set up, including a killed relay.
You did a ton of wiring this weekend.
Yeah. So that's all set, and got the fuel system working. Actually, it was tough because the GM ECU puts out a positive signal for the fuel pump, and the the Nissan fuel pump relay requires a grounding signal from the ECU to make that all work. So I just reversed the polarity of the relay by I didn't really reverse polarity. I just took one of the positives and I grounded it, and then I sent power down the other wire and just flipped the switch on the coil, and okay, now it works fine. But all back together, and it all takes a little while because we're not just trying to hack it together. We're using like good connectors and putting stuff in the right place and looming it all together. And
we definitely played the connector game for a little while on the front end. I know, like, it was like, this should work. No, it's upside down. Yeah. No, this should do this. And then the O2 sensors, it was like, okay, well, it plugs in backwards. So how do we fix that? So
yeah,
a lot of fiddly bits on the wiring.
Without a doubt. Got the brake lights to work, which they didn't work before. Also fixed a whole bunch of wires in the fuse box that were just twisted together with tape over them. You know, things that aren't very important really at all, but repaired a bunch of those things. I
spent some time under the dash of the Toyota this weekend, and I'm like, oh God, this is.
Wire nuts would have been an improvement, because at least then there's plastic. Yeah. Anyway, and various other assorted things.
Can I make a motion?
Yeah.
We were told in the social medias that.
Can I ask you if you have a quorum?
We should. We should
and then
not.
Mental's doing the crazy arm man.
Whatever motion. This motion.
We were told by some GM expert who's a Porculin fellow with flip flops, who lives in a state where they don't wear masks, that we really shouldn't call it an ECU because it's a PCM. Do we care?
Well, ours isn't really a PCM because it doesn't control anything but the engine. It could control the transmission, but ours doesn't. So screw you guys. It's an ECU.
Oh, wow.
So put that in your mathematical doctorate and shove it. Okay, go on. We're calling it ECU. Just wanted to know.
We'll know what it means. Yeah. I'm done. That's pretty much what I did. I'm still going to work on, it's like tomorrow I'm going to go work on more stuff out there, but being home by myself, I have to do some other things occasionally, aside from just work on the car. So
like clean and cook and do sorry.
Pornhub wire. Pornhub wire. What else?
Sure. Whatever. Anyway, so
I'm sorry. Pet the cat wire.
Dude.
Cat wire.
Well, yeah, the cat gets petted all day, so there's that. So I helped. Right, I know. So I did the header wire, or header wrap. I told you about that. I helped Jeff some, and then I installed the belts and seats a couple times, which we will talk about a little bit later. I put them in once, and then it wasn't right. Then I had to take them all out, and this includes the bolting the seat down all the way, and then realizing it's not right. Testing the lengths, they weren't right. Yes.
Our favorite podcast warned that this would happen.
Yes. Well, we'll tell you about it later. It's going to happen. And it was sad when it did. And then we used some CAD on El Surfordo, but I also made some covers for the fog lights. So I did that. And did you install them?
CAD being cardboard aided design. We should mention that.
Yes, we talked about it before, but
very important.
It should be on the bingo card. We presume it means cardboard aided design.
Yes.
There's new listeners, I'm assuming.
Yes. No, that's a very fair. Thank you. That's what we're trying to work on, right? Okay. And so as Chris said, he's home by himself. I got to do a little bit of traveling for work. Yay. I have 4 of 6 of my training centers up and running. So this one is the 5th. I am in outside of Denver, Colorado. I am staying on the west side, and my training center is on the east side of Denver. So I have to go all the way around the Beltway every day. But we've been making really good progress because I'm here with 2 guys that already run. One guy runs a training center, and one guy runs all of the facilitators that run the training centers. So they know exactly what needs to be done. So we're rocking through it. We made a lot of progress on Monday and Tuesday. Today, I had meetings in the afternoon that I couldn't cancel. So pictures?
No, I'm telling Jeff to check his phone.
I'm sorry. Apologize. So I'm here. It was lovely, 60 degrees, and I was working in a t-shirt, and now it is snowing because that's what happens in Colorado. So I'm out here making a training center. I'll be home on Friday. So since I'm traveling, we have to play the game. Guess the rental. Okay. So I
played this game in a long time.
It's been a while. Next to the Rona.
It's at least a year. Yeah.
It's exactly a year. So we looked it up. And
can I review the rules?
Sure.
Here are the rules for those of you who have not played Guess the Rental Car. When some of us travel and we rent, the person who rented the car must give us a thorough 2 or 3 sentence review of the car and their experience, and then all of us guess what shitbox they are penalized with for the week.
For
So go
example,
ahead,
when I
Chrissy.
said, I can't believe anyone actually buys this and that the manufacturer is not embarrassed to sell it.
Nissan
very
Rogue.
quickly guessed. Nissan Altima. Yes.
Everyone, yeah, duh.
Yes. Yeah.
Or if you say literally the worst car, made in America, it's a Dodge Journey.
All right, Chrissy, we're ready.
Yes. So here is your here are 2 items that will help you try to guess. And especially for those who haven't played in the last year, you will know. So I said I'm making a training center. I have the potential, that's a big word, bolded, potential to buy a lot of stuff. I don't know what it is, but I need to keep it safe and dry. So this is not like the time that I went to Indianapolis when I knew I needed to buy a whole lot of stuff. I was going to transport everything from Lowe's in my car. This time I got a lot of delivery, but knowing that I was possibly going to have to buy things. Also, I shipped. So the site that I'm working at now is a unmanned satellite. So it is it is a building that doesn't have any people that stay at it. So I was unable to ship anything to this building. I had to ship it to a different building. So there was a possibility that everything I and all these other 2 guys shipped their stuff, they shipped it to another place, and I was going to have to transport said boxes. Who knows how many? 100 boxes of varying sizes of cabinets and shelving units and whatever. So I didn't know what needed to be done. I didn't know what needed to be brought up. Okay, that's one note. It needed to be safe and dry. I knew a guy was bringing a pickup because he's got a work truck. So he was bringing a pickup, but you can't leave that outside and it's snowing. And you just, can't leave. You don't want to leave like good stuff outside. Also, I've struggled with a space in a sedan before. Go.
Oh, well, you got to tell us if you liked it or not.
Oh, I'm going to.
What?
Did you
You have
like
to guess.
No, but do you like it? Are you enjoying the
Yeah,
drive?
Oh, I thought I had to get. You have to guess, and then I tell you what I think of it.
Our assets ask questions.
Yeah, we get to ask a question.
Sure, ask questions.
I'm
sorry, I forgot how to play this game before.
Is it a pleasant vehicle to
Yes.
drive?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. You are in Colorado in the winter.
Ooh,
Sure.
good
Most
thought.
rental cars are going to skew toward the 4-wheel drive because of all the people renting them to go skiing. Is that a
It
fair
did come with a snow brush.
Okay.
Is
From the rental
this what we would consider one of the big 3 domestic manufacturers?
No, not domestic. No.
Okay, that throws my guess. All right.
I'm still just defaulting to Nissan here, but I'm going to go with a Nissan SUV-ish thing. But did I get an Infinity?
Which rental car company did you get it from? Because that
National.
can change the branding depending on some of them.
Oh,
care
okay.
more.
I didn't realize. National.
I'll jump on the grenade first.
Sure, please. Chris already knows. He doesn't know my review though, so we'll go with that.
Mhm.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Is it? I'm going with some of Jeff's clues. Is it a Nissan Armada?
No.
I was going to go Murano because I don't think they do
No.
the Armadas.
It's not Nissan.
Okay.
It is
All right.
better. Than
It's
a Nissan.
better.
It's
Oh, because you
hard
said
to
you
be
were
worse.
enjoying it. A Murano.
I am.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, no, an
Murano
Armada-
is not enjoyable.
An
Armada,
Armada
maybe.
is. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I also don't know
Another
how
hint.
much I need to bring. So I don't necessarily No.
Odyssey.
No.
Honda doesn't do rentals. Honda
Oh,
doesn't
that's true.
provide any of their
No,
cars.
no
for
fleet
rentals.
sales. Yeah.
Toyota
All right.
Sienna.
Ooh.
No. Okay. You ready?
I'm
Yeah.
ready.
Okay. It is a 2021 Toyota Highlander.
Highland.
Oh, all right. Yeah,
Highlander.
okay.
So I've had a minivan before. It was fine. It was great. I actually was tickled that I put my own refrigerator in the whole thing. And the people that worked at Lowe's were like, yeah, that's not going to fit. And I was like, it's going to fit. And it did. But I decided that I don't need to carry a refrigerator this time. So I'm going to go SUV because I didn't want to really carry around nobody in they had a Suburban Yukon XL. And I was like, I got one of those at home. I don't really want that. So I went, so I knew the interior. I think, Toyota was where I was looking. I was looking at the badge next. So this is an XLE all-wheel drive. It now has 6,000 miles on it. Yep.
2021 is the redesign of that.
It's great.
For the
Yeah,
body
it's kind of
style.
cool.
Yep. It has 6,000 miles on it.
It's on a minivan platform. It's on the Sienna platform.
It's basically a raised Camry is what it is.
Yep.
But good
So
car.
I really like it. So
Yeah.
the interior is lovely. All of the controls are really pretty easy to use. The steering wheel, the radio, like everything is kind of intuitive, and it's not. Sometimes the radio controls are kind of all over the place and just difficult to know. It has this soft text, not leather, but it's still really nice, and everything just fit and finish interior feels really nice to be in. The one problem is I can't figure out how to turn off the active assist. I didn't Google it, and I could, but I didn't. So I don't know how to turn it off. So that's kind of annoying. It's
like
not
every time you leave a lane, it goes like beep.
It's not overly annoying like that. Like if I say I'm going to put my blinker on, and just even if it's just a kind of a blip, some cars kind of like bounce you back and say like, you shouldn't do that and make sure you're safe. And I'm like, this is okay. So the other thing is it's pretty peppy. Like you can be quick off the line, especially in sport mode, which is very easy to get to. It also has all the options for mud and sand, snow and dirt, and it's just like right on the center console. Like, so it feels like you want to just make sure that this is like, I just want to do that right now. I'm just going to go do it.
For someone to start hacking these active assist to start matching personalities, like,
sure.
Just like if you use your turn signal and you're from Boston, the active assist goes, "What are you friggin' a Vicken?" And you just come right over into people's lanes. And
you said this is an XLE?
XLE, yes.
XLE, that is a 3.5 liter V6.
It's the Toyota corporate V6 I put in everything, which is a great motor, actually.
So I have this morning. I know this is not a good pod, but I basically had to stuff it full of boxes. So it was fine. It fit. It's basically like my Mazda size. Like, so the hatch is plenty big. So really, I would take it if it was lowered and a stick. I'd buy it because it's great. I've been having a good time with it, and that's my review.
It's not an E-Class wagon, but what are you going to do?
It's not.
But then again, it's really anything.
An E-Class wagon.
It's either a Mercedes or it isn't.
Okay, well, thanks for playing. Sorry for the delay on the
Ooh,
show.
No, that's good. That was
now I've given you my review of a 2021 Highlander.
I'd forgotten that we used to play that game, and
for a while it was twice a week.
Yeah.
So
at the end of March, I got to play it again, and then also we'll be cheating because Lemons announced today that both Sonoma, Pittsburgh, and NOLA will be going. So get those applications in, folks.
I'd like to mention that both, and then he listed 3.
Sorry, both. Sorry, I'm going to keep stepping in that hole after I did that to myself.
It's okay.
I will be ideally. I know I'm working at least 2, and ideally working all 3 of those races because I'm itching to see the Z.
News.
Watch us work on it. It's great.
Notes time.
This is a bit sad, but Bruce Myers, creator of the Myers Manx, it's the car that is known worldwide as the Dune Buggy. It's copied, it's replicated for generations. He was the original pioneer of racing in Baja. He has passed away at age 94 from myelodysplasia, similar to leukemia. It affects the spinal column. His wife, Minnie, said, it was just his time. And for many years, she'd been helped operating the business that he founded. The company had just changed hands to a trust called the Truesdale Ventures. A link to the Auto Week article is in our notes, but it is worth the read because Bruce is a man of many dimensions. He was a war hero. In World War II, his ship, the aircraft carrier Bunker Hill, was hit by 2 kamikazes when everybody had to jump in the Pacific. He was a surfer, and he noticed the guy next to him didn't have a life jacket, so he took off his life jacket, gave it to him. And then when they jumped into the water, there was an injured pilot floating on a piece of debris that he had to pull and swim around piles of flaming oil and things of that nature. So just good person, neat story, read the article. And it's a shame, but at 94, you got to say that's a life well lived.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Hats off to Mr. Manx.
Plus, he made it so people could use various throwaway Volkswagen pants to jump over stuff, which is great.
Did you say pants?
Pants, P-A-N-S.
That's the bottom of the Volkswagen.
I was like, where do you get Volkswagen pants? Okay, sorry.
Yeah, and don't forget, like
Probably on
every
Etsy.
one of the early
They'd
Kurt
be
Russell,
Probably.
yeah, every one of the early Kurt Russell Disney movies, like The Man Who Wasn't There and The Computer That Wore Tennis Shoes, they were always driving around in a Myers-Manx buggy.
Because you were cool if you had a dune buggy.
I was going to say a shout out to Speed Buggy, the cartoon. Right.
Hell yeah, totes.
Okay.
All right. Who else got something?
It's according to James Gilboy at The Drive, the Netflix docuseries Drive to Survive has done wonders for F1's audience globally, but especially in the United States, where F1 sees a largely untapped potential fan base. Hey, got Chrissy hooked on it. I feel safe in saying it's made at least 3 more fans in this podcast, really. Actually, just today I was talking, or not yesterday I was talking to Eric K, 914 lover, and he was saying how he's finishing up season 2 of it now, and it's making him look excited for this season. So there we go. There's another one. So the series has been recounting the events of each F1 season since 2018, and it's worth binging because March 19th, season 3 will premiere. So unprecedented behind-the-scenes access continues, and it's going to end with Grosjean's career and in his lovely little Roman candle that he had there. Lewis Hamilton's record-tying 7th championship, Perez's first win, and Alpine Renault team principal Cyril, I'm not going to say his last name, his pledge to get a tattoo of Ricardo got a podium, which he did twice. So there's going to be stuff on Albon and Verstappen and Gasly's cool win and all that fun stuff. So check it out. That's for 2021. I mean, this season last year was pretty decent, I thought.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited for the new one because now I have watched the racing and then I want to watch the show.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's going to be good. Okay. On that note, as newly minted F1 fans, we are inviting you, our listeners, and viewers, to join us on our F1 Fantasy League, and it is absolutely free. Head over to fantasygp.com, and the link is in our show notes. Once you build a profile, click Join a League, then look for Everyone Racers League, and then enter this code. Now, somebody's going to really be writing this down, and if they are driving a car, they should not be writing this down. So hopefully we can put that in the show notes or something. There's a number, an 8-digit code, 613-455-94. So find or ask us for the code, right? So with the season testing soon, you want to start setting that up. Just like fantasy football, you have a budget, choose your cars and drivers, make predictions about other events like podiums, how many safety cars, who will get pole, fastest lap, and the like. For Bahrain, the season opener, the question will be, where will Sebastian Vettel finish? Set up your team and predictions before the race and watch with us. And for the upcoming season, we'll keep the league recap on the show, and we'll have some of useless trinket for whoever wins and you win our league. First race is March 28th at Bahrain. I think at least 3 of us are set up. I don't know that Jeff is in because I think
no, not
Jim
yet. I'll get in there though.
We're in, and we've already gotten, and I think there's a couple other people in it already. So you should totally join us because it's going to be amazing.
Awesome. I'm excited. Here's some interesting news. The Cherokee Nation is officially asking Jeep to change the name of its Cherokee and Grand Cherokee vehicles. Quote, this is a quote, "I'm sure this comes from a place that is well intended, but it does not honor us by having our name plastered on the side of a car." That is Chuck Hoskin Jr., Principal Chief of the Cherokee Nation. He told us to Car and Driver. He also said, "The best way to honor us is to learn about our sovereign government, our role in the country, our history, culture, and language, and have a meaningful dialogue with federally recognized tribes on cultural appropriateness," end quote. According to the Car and Drive article, Jeep has been building cars that wear the Cherokee Nation's name for more than 45 years. In that time, the company has gone on the record several times defending its decision to use the name of a Native American nation on its cars. Over the past years, since they reintroduced the Cherokee nameplate to the U.S. market in 2013, the Cherokee Nation has gone on the record several times, but has never specifically asked that Jeep remove the name from the cars, but now they have. Car and Driver article link in the show notes. Everybody raise your hand if you owned a Cherokee. That's 2 out of 4. Chris and I.
Sorry.
It was good. I actually enjoyed my Cherokee until it overheated every day, even when it was 2 degrees out.
That sounds like a bigger problem than just being hot.
I bought it with 225,000 miles.
That's how you buy a Cherokee.
Sounds like a General Wakeman problem.
5-speed, 6-cylinder. It was awesome. Upcoming races. Do we got any recent results? Actually, as we thought from the
Chris, you might want to turn on your mic. I don't know.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
I was going to say, no, actually we do. Next week, though, Jeff. Not right now.
Next week we'll have recent results.
Sorry.
Or excuse me, upcoming races we'll have next week.
Yep.
We do actually have some results as we thought from the Rona. The rally has started back. Its rally, our resident rally expert Santiago Iglesias loaded up his B-body wagon and made the short drive to Michigan's Lower Peninsula to defend his title. Lucky for us and you, he got us a report.
And his email opened up with, "What a race. Far and away the sketchiest one I've done." Yeah, that's a great way to describe it. Each road was used 3 times, and by the end of it, it was just sheets of ice. Last year's overall winner described it as the worst experience he's ever had in a rally car. He later added that the fancy top guys usually still have snow on their stage, where he always has polished ice further down the order, so it worked to his advantage.
We should have mentioned that this is the American Rally Association's Snowdrift Pro Rally. Go on.
Thank you. I had forgotten to put that in there. 50 entries, 24 all-wheel drive Subarus.
Boring.
Now, 2 BRZs, which are cool and good.
Yeah.
13 Fords, one of them a 302 powered Fox body.
Hell yeah, brother!
That's good on the ice.
Yes, absolutely. 5 VWs, 5 Mitsubishis, 1 LS swapped RX-7, and
Hell yeah.
500 R-Barth. A-Barth, sorry.
A Barth, I think.
A Barth.
Chrissy.
Sorry about that. No, I'm sorry. I did find my screen. One of those 50 cars, only 41 actually finished. Lots of people got stuck, had to wait to get pulled out of the snow before continuing. Of the fancy FIA R5 class, which are the four-wheel drive Fiestas that cost $250,000 each, 3 of 4 did not finish. Santiago included pictures of all of those. Ouch.
The overall win went to Travis Pastrana and Rhiannon Gelsomino. Pastrana and Gelsomino pretty much dominate American rallying, in case you haven't figured it out. They are a Subaru factory team, but the result that everyone cares about is limited 2-wheel drive, because we know people there. The class was won in a BRZ by Santiago and his navigator, RJ Castle. I hear Santiago did the Castle run in under 12 parsecs. They were a mere 32 minutes behind the overall leader and a full 92 seconds over second in class.
That makes 3 in a row for our iRacing alien and rally correspondent. But the winds might be changing, because according to Santiago, there was a 95 Escort that was putting down some fast times, only to get high centered in the snow on the last stage, apparently 2 corners from the finish. I'm surprised there is a 95 Escort left in Michigan, but
it probably doesn't come
it doesn't
from
mean
Michigan.
they started in Michigan.
Yeah, they probably come from somewhere else.
I say it is probably cleaned thoroughly after every time, if it's the best way for a 95 Escort to go.
Well, anyway, hey, thanks for the race report, Santiago. That's good stuff. Congrats.
And congrats. That's awesome.
Yes, congrats.
Absolutely. Listener feedback.
Thank you. I can't walk away from my mic this time, so I'm glad that you're yelling, not me. Almost immediately upon posting, the tube was generating feedback. Andrew Pullman referenced one of our running jokes, Stellantis, the Mopar, or Le Car. It's not.
I like that.
Michael,
I heard an actual professional podcast say Stellantis. If erection lasts more than 4 hours, please see a doctor.
Right.
They took that joke from
Stole
us.
it from us.
They did.
Totally. Michael K had some additional slider solutions for some of your race seats. Other options for sliders. We were big fans of the TJs. That you mentioned the Jeep TJ, Volvo 240. Now they're harder to find in the Poland parts now, especially up north. And the passenger slider on the 4th gen F body. And according to him, there are 10 of those in every pull apart in the Midwest. One of those was for the seat mounters. Our first car for the seat mounter spreaders, we ran 1/4-inch plate from the transmission tunnel to the sill, about 3 inches wide front and rear. No welding, lots of spread, lots of weight.
And the Corvette question garnered lots of input, apparently.
Magazine.
Corvette magazine.
The good Wakeman said, LS swap. No, sorry, wrong episode. And he knows, not doing another one of those damn things. And some of the more destructive concepts were like Tim Burr said, hey, could be the first entry of its kind in the sportsman class of a Baja race. Because don't lie, everyone wants to do a Baja race. And Tim's
like
not
that idea.
wrong.
Yep.
Dr. Florida Man loves correcting us. Not only did he correct us about the ECU PCM debacle, which we're refusing to acknowledge, but he also suggested to Mental that his assertion that the 1984 model was the first C4. Apparently, there were some 83 C4s, and all of them were sacrificed for crash testing. I don't think that counts.
They didn't sell any 83 C4s.
Yeah. So, we don't care.
There's one left, and GM
Yeah.
has it.
He also offered a more pleasant retirement environment than the Northeast should it need a home in his garage.
There seemed to be a wave of folks wanting to off-road it. Al Jones said, in the regards to the Corvette, it's the rare instance that being neither hella sweet or but terrible, it's but sweet. Just bad enough to be good. If I were you, I'd consider making it a Hoopty X. There just happens to be an event in Eastern PA in September. Al explained Hoopty X is for those who do not know. Basically, it's Lemon's version of Rally X racing.
All right.
Sounds
if you're going to
great.
Hoop the X anything, we should do the Citroën. Because
It does have the
drive.
suspension for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Seriously,
Except I just want to drive. No, don't get ideas.
No.
It's
No,
going
no.
away.
No.
Oh,
So-
absolutely. But it did do a great job over the curves when you're on track. Like you could hit any curve and it would just, and you almost didn't feel it as it's smooth French
Your
ride.
French ladies in the background, in the back seat, could not spill their drinks. I
They
think
know,
is what-
exactly. If they spilled their martinis, then that'd be a
It would be a
problem.
problem.
Now, since the discussion seems to center around off-road or radwood, so I reached out to our resident rad expert, Bradley Brownell, and he responded, quote, I am always in favor of saving C4s, even the bad ones. Then he sent me this picture, which launched me down this entire rabbit hole about the Corvette Challenge race series in the 80s, because they were banned from showroom stock racing because they were too good. So they started their own series. And he offered a second life solution for the Corvette after the Radwood shows. And that is yank the current power plant, drop in a cheap small block with a 383 to 4-barrel carb, stroke it out. And then you've got a real track car, which you two absolutely do not need. So again, I am offering my rust-free location should you wish to have a track car on the West Coast. And since
We already have
I was going to say,
several that we have
sent
access
you
to
like
out there.
4 of them.
Right. There's a Solstice out there.
Oh
that
yeah, no,
we-
the Solstice is
You got cars.
Actually, the Solstice is hurting a little bit right now, but they're working on it.
Oh, don't worry. That'll
And
think
Corey
all our
has
cars
about
are hers.
27 cars that he's always like, somebody's got to drive them. Come on.
Yeah.
So-
I want to share the screen real quick because this is actually a kind of cool looking, and this was one of the Corvette Challenge cars that was available in that series. So it was a little bit newer than your version of it, but
It's still an
neat
early
car, and
C4.
especially-
Yeah.
Trying to describe it
It
for our
is, it
listeners.
is.
Early silver
Go ahead.
C4, blue and red stripes, number 97, giant Mobile One logo.
And Goodyear,
logos.
because, that was the tire.
It's got some 5-star wheels that look pretty good. Damn, it looks
Yeah,
like
it
an
was,
80s
and it was
Corvette
a
race
small
car.
series.
Nice.
It was cool. So, just options, to give the thing a bit of an opportunity for at least a proper Viking funeral.
Gonna get running. Go to Radwood. Maybe go to Lemons Rally and sell it. That'll be good.
There we go. Good
Okay.
plan.
And in the arena of not vet discussion, Uncle Dave said, "Hey, this show is only an hour and 20 minutes. What am I going to do with myself?" This is while he was plowing the parking lot of the school he works at again. He says, "In snowy season, needs longer shows." And I said, "Well,
No,
you didn't have
no.
to listen to the last one all the way through so quickly.
No.
There's more.
No,
Yep.
we don't. Hour and 20 is perfect.
Just right."
All right, so we did some iRacing with the Lemons folks. Fundoro at Alton Park. Thank you.
Alton.
Whew, stuck in my throat. It's an old English circle with lots of elevation changes. That is actually quite a fun place, despite 3 "you're too fast" black flag penalties. Matt Prolicent crossed the line first in his Audi RS3, but arbitrarily we decided the real winners were 6th and 9th.
Nice.
And this Sunday, the circus will be running the trash sprints at Oxford Plains and Irwindale. What's Oxford
Good.
Plains? I don't know what that is.
A third mile paved oval. So basically, you
Ah.
never stop turning left.
Yes.
That's what it is. You don't even get the little kind of straight. Nope. You just turn.
Is that the
left.
one that we did that I was like, this is really
No, that
just
was
like
dirt.
one drift?
That was dirt.
And,
This is paved.
No, we
It's a
did like
skid
a real
pad,
short
basically.
paved back in the day. I don't remember. Go on.
But I think that one was actually Thompson, one of the early versions of the Thompsons that we did back in the day. Number 6 was actually Schlavine, who has built this season of iRacing, and 9th was Jared Duclos.
Oh, excellent.
Oh,
Good
thanks
for
for
that.
looking that up. Appreciate it. All right, let's talk about the
I
E1R
wrote
race.
it down and forgot to put it in the show notes.
No problem. Normally we don't remember. So we always say, do we remember who it was? Yeah, that guy in the middle. Yeah, I don't remember at all. Okay, let's talk an E1R race. We were going to prep for Lemons with Oxford, but instead we went to Barber. Well, they did. Was not there at all. I was told that they had a great time. Almost 20 participants for both races. First was our favorite Skippies with the other free cars and a single Pro2 truck. Did anybody
Some
take it?
guy, one jerk in a Pro2 truck just rolling over everybody.
Yeah.
Just one truck. I did not come in last.
That's good.
And it's great seeing the truck rolling down the back straight, or not down the back straight, next to the back straight at 100 miles an hour.
And if you're in a Skippy, you're terrified because even Mustangs look big next to a Skippy.
Yeah. I'm staring at the lower lettering of his tires. And
completely.
I'm yelling into the Discord, Chris, don't you do it. Don't you back up.
Right? You're like, the lug nuts are like next to your head. You're like, I'm going to die. Anyway, okay,
it's like the NSX and a Camry.
Yes, or a lowered Miata, not different. Same thing. We almost got run off the road in lowered Miata. Anyway, second race was all the fun cars, Dolaris, GT3 cars, Radicals. It's not really racing, but it's so much fun. So our E1R League is on Mondays at 9 and 10 Eastern. It's password protected. You probably know what it is, and if you don't know, let us know. We'll hook you up.
Don't forget, it's also got a Discord link, and you know who I keep looking for in the Discord and I never see?
Yeah.
Chrissy's mom.
She doesn't have the Discord, but maybe we can hook her up.
Just saying.
She might. She doesn't offend easily, but sometimes the Discord's a little.
Yeah, you're right. It's a little blue in the Discord link. I just want to open up my Discord link and say, "Hi, Chrissy's mom."
Yes.
Hey, Jeff, you enjoyed some Chrissy's mom's baked goods.
I did. The cinnamon things. What
cinnamon things?
Cinnamon bar things.
Squares, yeah.
Squares, cinnamon squares, man. They were on point.
Chris nicely shared them with you guys, but.
Jim left me one corner of one bar at the end of Sunday.
Well, he ate my peach rings the other week too. So
I think only half of them and left the bag open on the counter all the rest of the weekend.
They got all hard. Anyway, main topic time. What are we talking about?
Seats.
We're still talking about seats because you've still got a butt. It's got to have a place to go in a race car. If you're a new listener,
when I saw him picking up Bill, when I saw him picking up the stuff, he was like, "Man, you guys ended about seats. I wanted to hear more. Like now I'm sitting waiting. Like what else do I do with this seat?"
Yes. And that's an excellent point. If dear listener, if you are a new listener, this is your first episode, thanks so much for tuning in. But if you're trying to get some tech information, I'm going to ask you to stop and go back to listen to last week's episode because we are talking about race seats. We discussed last week's sanctioning rules, things you're going to need, materials. We reviewed the basic design, ratings, sizes, fitment. And then we wrapped the whole discussion up with a discussion about sliders, mounts, brackets, and installation hardware. Now, this week's topic is going to be all about how to get that into the car safely and effectively, or if you're Chrissy, doing that about 4 or 5 times. Now, it seems straightforward, but it is going to require some planning and forethought. And as we mentioned, just get comfortable with the idea that you're going to do this many, many, many times. Same with engine swaps. It's not going in the first time. So in and out of the car about 20 times, which you need, you have a race cage. It's going to be a pain in the butt. Check your rules for your series, then check them again. As we primarily race Lemons, we're going to focus on their rules just as an exemplar.
So, all right, you bought your seat. You picked your seat based on last week's advice, and you took all the crap out of your car, and you got a hole in your car, and you're just going to bolt it right in, right? Sure, if you suck and you don't actually want to be comfortable or reach anything in the cockpit, you could just bolt that seat right in. But we're going to talk about doing it right. Okay. We mentioned last week about the shape of the seat, and hopefully it fits your hole because you did all the measurements, and it probably will, but spoiler alert, it doesn't matter how many times you measured, nothing fits in that Miata. So, but I want to talk about the Miata because it's a great case to understand fit in the hole. Okay. So the hole in a Miata is a trapezoid. If you look down from above, the small side is towards the trunk. And if you look across the, like, from the pedal box backwards, it is also a trapezoid because the bottom, like near the pan of the car, near the ground, is smaller than the top. So it's kind of like it's trapezoid. I don't know how to say it. It's a box that is bigger on top and in the front than it is in the back. So, whatever you did, that hole is very bizarre, and all the holes in all the cars are different. Okay. There's a large brace in a Miata that holds the front of the seat up. So just because you measured and you stick it in, it might not be in the right spot. And this is what I'm talking about. You may need to, no, scratch that. You probably will need to work on the car itself. There's bumps, there's ridges in the body, there's flat floors, people have angle floors. So you're going to need to massage the floor plan to get the floor pan to get things right. Bumps can be flattened down with a hammer. Braces can be cut out. Please re-brace things to keep it from wobbling. We've used blocks of wood. Have we ever used blocks of wood? No, we usually use steel. But we've used blocks of wood.
We don't use wood.
Sorry,
we use wood because wood is great to hammer against.
Yes, it's true.
And it's a little softer, helps, but it's nice.
We've done it with like jacks and stuff. So you got to push the bottom up, you jack up.
You put the wood on the jack and jack up, and that holds it steady, and then you hammer it,
and then you hammer it. Sometimes you just get like 300-400 pound dudes and jump in the car, and that kind of helps crush it a little. So so you got to massage your floor plans. You just don't throw it in there. You know what I mean? Because you might not find that it sits how and where you expect it to. Most Miata people will cut out like triangles from the transmission tunnel to make it more square than trapezoid. This is kind of like advanced tech, but if you want to, you can Google that and see how that is. I did it for my Miata. It got the seat a lot lower. So installing a seat is not just where you put it, but it's also to ensure you have the correct angle and the spec and the distance from your harness bar, because that is all dictated in the rules. A slight recline is a good idea, as it will keep you from sliding into the anti-submarine belt. That's the one that goes right near 3 out of 4 of our testicles. I'm sorry, I should say that. We don't have 4 testicles. 3 out of 4 of us on this podcast has testicles.
Like, that's a mess.
Sorry, I was
like who's missing
I started the sentence. It didn't land right. Don't worry. I have another joke.
Like, does everybody only have one because their wives hold the other one? So I was like, where are we going with this?
I don't know.
I'm alarmed at his disregard for that 4th testicle. Screw you, 4th testicle. You go anywhere.
I could see I'm in there already. But anyway, like, seriously, if you don't have an angle in your seat, your butt is going to slide forward every time you hit the brakes. We've been in cars that push your head down like an impatient lover. Okay. You have to have an angle back. And I'm just going to tell you that, you got to, the Hans device is going to be there. Your helmet is going to be there. So you need to do more than just check this with your street clothes on. Okay. So anyway, so you can use tubing and things to get the, to bring the front of the seat up if you don't have the right kind of floor shape. If you have the front hump, sometimes you can use it. But sometimes it's easier to flatten the back to raise the front. But, like I said, you're going to put the seat in, you're going to massage the floor, you're going to take the seat out, you put the seat in, check it again, check it again. And you're going to have to do this with your sliders on, whatever brackets that you're going to bolt it in, all of those have to be in. And you're going to be test fitting to make sure that you can reach all the major controls and that it feels comfortable. Okay. Because you cannot move the steering with your gloves. Gloves, they don't really move stuff, but you have to be able to reach things.
Can you reach third?
You can't. You can't move the shifter. Yes. You can't move the pedals. Now, if you can't see a gauge or if you can't grab the fire handle, you might be able to move those. But you really shouldn't have built those until you had the seat in position, because the seat, being the driver's position, has to be set first so that you can build the things around it, including the cage. So you can't build a cage and then say, oh no, I'll put the seat in. You really have to be doing these in conjunction. So yes, but you'll never move the steering wheel. You'll never move the pedals. You'll never move the shifter. You need to make sure you can reach all of those things with your helmet on, with your gloves, yes, mental, with your Hans device, because, and we've given Chris crap and he has defended his seating position for a little while, but at one point we had a Honda that was uncomfortable for me to drive, I'll say that, because the angle of the seat pushed my head forward.
That wasn't the only thing that was the problem with the
It's
Honda
true,
seating.
but changing the angle of that seat made that car
It did help.
so much better to drive.
It did.
Except then you couldn't reach the wheel, and
I could reach the wheel.
well.
It didn't reach everybody.
But that speaks to everything that we're talking about on there is the Honda was an evolution, and so this change, and it was always, we're having to adjust a lot of that stuff. And I think that's how a lot of that Honda seating ended up the way it was. And then when the new gauge cluster came in there, that allowed us, Chris, the opportunity to address the seat.
That was mostly because
and the new shifter.
I just bought a new seat and redid it. And
You're going to redo it. That's
Fair,
really
fair,
what
fair.
it is.
Chrissy, you're
up.
listening to this so you can learn from our mistakes, and we've made most of them.
Make sure all your drivers can reach third, because when it goes away, you can't always get it back. Ask me how I know. Ask me how I know. Okay, so there's more than just filling the hole in the car and having some recline. Here are some other factors to consider. So the seatbelt angle. For the shoulder belts, you need to have the belts come over the driver's shoulders and hit the harness bar at an angle from 0 to 15 degrees. And I suggest you measure it, or at least if you're really good at measuring, having some idea of what the percentages are, because, go ahead. Yes.
15 degrees down. That's very important.
Down. I'm sorry.
Not up. You just didn't specify.
I didn't finish. No, I'm sorry. 0 to 15 degrees down. Yes. Measure it. Figure it out. Make sure you look at it so that the height works so that your height works for this. Or you'll need to add another seat with harness bar from the cage right at the height. That's the correct height. This is more work and pretty annoying. So just measure before you start it. All right. So on to the lap belts. You're going to have the lap belts mount back at the seat holes at a 45-degree angle. So they're going to be behind the driver's seat at a 45 degree. Lastly, you need the sub belts to mount slightly behind the hole in the seat at the furthest rear position, and make sure you measure that as well. And this is why this is my portion, because this is what I did all weekend. Back, forth, up, down, up, down. Oh wait, it's wrong. It's too short now. Jim, get in. Jim, get out. Jim, get in. Does this work? Where's it on you? Nope, too high, too low, too high, too low. So this is what I did all weekend. All right, so make sure that they're right. Go ahead. Yes, Mental.
Well, I was going to say, and this was you putting in the race seat into your how manyth race car that you have built?
Oh, well,
7.
They're not all of ours, but a lot. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it changes every time. And this is what I said. I was telling Chris, I was like, I've done this. Why is this hard? And I said, why, no, my bigger question was, why is the sub belt from the Honda so different in the Z? And because I said they're all basically the same drivers, why should it be that different? Because you have to adjust the sub belt before you put it in the car. Because once you put it in the car, you can't reach it anymore because there's things in the way. And they asked me why my arms are all cut up, because I shoved my arm under the seat so many times. So you can only do it so many times. And when you get it done, you bolt the seat down. I'm sorry, this is off notes. But once you put the seat down, you can't move, you can't adjust how long the sub belt is naturally, because you shouldn't be able to do that from the top of the car. It should be stationary one place. It's going to stay there forever. So make sure that that's correct. And it's because the seating position is very different in the Honda as it is in the Z, because that's just how the seat fits in the car, where everything is, everything that Jeff just talked about. So all of that's different. Make sure you try multiple drivers, bigger, smaller, all those. Okay.
Some seats you can reach in and unclip the sub belt, but that's not what's going on in our Z at the moment.
Now, the old Wagovan we could, because that was a super tall wagon, and so the seat wasn't mounted right basically to the floor. Yeah. The Z is a low sporty car, so the seat is as low as we can possibly make it because we have some tall friends.
Yeah, the S10s I could reach my hand under the seat and unclip the seat.
Yes. This you absolutely
This
cannot.
you could not. Nope.
There's
the Honda you could not either. Yeah.
Right. So and then you have to undo the whole seat to figure out the seat from the mount to get to the belts. Okay, moving on. You need to get the driver as far away from the cage as you can. So when you're putting this, we're back to where you're mounting the seat and the belts. So this means pushing the seat as close to the center of the car as you reasonably can without getting too far out of alignment with control. So you don't want to be like in the center of the car, but you need to be over as far as you can to not feel like your steering wheel is over to your right and you are completely over to the left. But you really need to make sure that you're over into basically the center channel as you can. And you need to make sure the seat is low as possible in smaller cars if you have taller drivers, because especially you might want to consider even mounting it right to the floor.
It's the only way to fit tall people in little cars sometimes. So
it's the way my Miata is. There's no sliders. The Kirky is right to the floor.
Mm-hmm.
You know how we feel about Kirkies.
Yes.
Well, that's not a long distance car. That's a track day car.
No. Yeah. Anyway, let's talk about mounting points. I think we actually got a little ahead of ourselves here. Let's get back to basics. An ideal start is mounting the seat to your stock sliders and having your stock sliders mount to the stock location. If you can make this work and get the height you need and the right location, fantastic. That is the ideal solution. Go do that.
Has that occurred in any race car we have ever owned ever?
Both Hondas and the S10s.
Really?
All had stock sliders and stock locations that I made work with the seats. Mental.
Not anything that the Three Pedal Mafias run, but a friend of mine had an Infinity in Oklahoma, and he mounted the Sparco side mounts that we recommended to the electric automatic sliders of the J30, and it was great because when you turn the car off, it had the automatic recline, so it was easier to get out of the car. So the belts would just loosen as you shut the car off. It was pretty simple.
Colin Chapman is rolling in his grave right now, going, "What the hell is going on out there?" Go ahead, Chris. I'm sorry.
Darren's 124 Mercedes also had the seat mounted to the power seat switches, so you'd actually have the switches around the console, so you could adjust your seat if you wanted to like snug the belts up a little bit. You snug them up with the seat there. Actually, the Citroen, we used the stock Citroen seat mounts too because they were a flat mount on the bottom. So who knows? Anyway, go do that. If that's not going to work, let's talk about other stuff. Now, Jeff talked about making the floor flat. You are going to need to do this to start with, for the most part, if you're using hard mount seats, or if you're using a flat slider like the Jeep TJ or the Volvo 240 or apparently the passenger side of an F body. Whatever you use, though, it's got to be sturdy. So you need to start with something sturdy and something that's flat side to side. Because however you're going to do that, whether it's flattening the floor, whether it's making a brace that goes across that's flat, something's got to make it flat. A random spot on the floor that you're drilling through probably isn't all that sturdy, especially if your car is on the rusty side, and especially if it's thin economy car sheet metal. Your Chevette wasn't built with sturdiness in mind.
Yeah, your Miata's made out of tin foil, everybody.
Right, exactly. So for these, you might want to consider weld-in brackets or braces or just plate in the area where you're actually going to mount the seat through the floor. At the very least, though, at least use big backing plates, big washers, like bigger than washers even. I don't think washers are big enough even for this. You want like a plate to get to the whole thing, to really get that whole floor incorporated. Because if the floor bends. If it melts, you have other problems. If it bends,
dude, you better start over.
Yeah,
you didn't mix your A and B correctly.
No. If it bends, your seat is now in the wrong place, and therefore your belts might not be holding you. So make it sturdy. And consider some weld-in brackets in areas where you actually mount the seat through the floor. We talked about that. And also use quality hardware. Don't use the silver stuff at Home Depot. Get proper either grade 8 if it's SAE or 10.9 if it's metric. Use the right stuff. All right. And especially locking hardware also helps, or safety wire, all those things. Great to do to make sure it doesn't back out. Mental. And
if you Home Depot, just because the way if you're looking for good quality hardware, I know in a lot of places in the Midwest and the Southeast, we have Tractor Supply, and they do sell grade 8 hardware. And you guys have mentioned a series of places near you guys that do sell that.
Well, Lowe's does.
Yeah, Lowe's does.
there you
I go to Lowe's.
Fastenal, also a good place for bolts.
There we go. Yes.
All right. If you still have a weak floor, or you just want the best possible mounts, consider adding some bars from the sill bar of your cage horizontally across your car to some plates that are welded on the trans tunnel. These can be round or square. That's fine either way. But you can then weld tabs directly to those bars and have a very sturdy seat mounted cage.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of just having square stock and just building what you need to build. If you gotta cut a brace, put a piece of square stock from the sill to the trans tunnel.
You can use roll cage tubing. Yeah. You can use that door bar that you bent wrong. Mm-hmm. It's got to bend at the end. That if we bend it right off the bottom and then it goes flat across, and weld it to a plate on the trans tunnel. Do 2 of those. You're never going to get sturdier than that. And weld tabs to them. It's a little higher up is a problem. So that doesn't get you quite as low, but there's nothing sturdier. So consider that depending on your car and your risk tolerance. Jeff also talked about the angle of the seat for recline. We also suggest putting the sliders themselves on a downward slope, front to rear. The reason is that when your shorter drivers pull their seat forward, they're also going to go up so they can see a little better. Taller drivers, seat all the way back, well, that seat's going to be as low as it's going to go. So that's going to get them the maximum headroom that they probably need. And you can go pretty steeply on the rake there. You'd be surprised at how much you can add, and it'll be helpful.
The other benefit is it's really easy to slide back. And
yes,
it's really hard to slide forward when it's like that. Well, look, no matter what, you're going to need some seat mount brackets. And we discussed last time the L-shaped bracket with the mounting holes on the sides. If you're mounting directly to the floor, then get the seat placed exactly where you need it, as what we talked about before, and then mark it, drill it, bolt it. All right. It's pretty obvious at that point. You shouldn't need our help too much, but odds are that you're probably going to use sliders if you're an endurance racer like us. So first you'll need to mount the sliders to the car. In doing this, you're going to need to consider everything that we just said above about mounting position. Try to have the sliders more or less centered under the seat. We talked about the TJ sliders. You don't really need this advice if you're using the stock sliders or no sliders, but the TJ sliders have 8 mounting studs on the bottom. So you get the slider square to the floor, you mount it through the floor or whatever brackets or tabs you've made, and whatever it is, just make it sturdy. If you don't keep the sliders square, then the seat won't slide well because, hey, there's no give. The left side of the seat needs to be in the same place as the right side of the seat, no matter where it goes forward or backwards. Okay. That's pretty obvious, but you'll not think about it. And then all of a sudden you'll say, why isn't the seat sliding? So, for example, on the Z, we welded small tabs to the stock seat mounting reinforcement beam. That was that thing I talked about in the Miata. And it runs on the inside of the car. And then we drilled the holes in those. And then in the rear, we drilled right through the floor and used really long bolts in the sliders to go through the large mount reinforcement plates. So under the car, we had the big old plates, and the bolt went through the TJ sliders, through the floor, through the plates. All right. Sandwich. Think about that. I lost my pace. For the passenger seat in the Civic, we welded angle iron across the same portion of the front as it was uneven, with holes in the front of the mounts. So at the rear, we made a bracket that bolted into the stock mounting points and used angle iron and flat stock with tabs to hold the rear mounting points. This probably needs to be visual. We need some pictures with this one.
I'll do my whiteboard next time. I'll go totally instructor on everybody.
The whole point is front higher than back. Get it level left to right at the front. Get it level left to right at the back. Get some holes in it and make it sturdy.
And if you have a unibody car, you probably have that hump in the front of the seat for the same reason, because the stock seats and the stock sliders wanted to be angled to the back.
Yeah, use that. Anytime you can use something OEM that's safety related, use it. That they're better than you are at this stuff.
Yes, lots of engineers and lots of crashing and lots of really smart people.
And your stick welder are not the NHTSA.
and they probably have threaded holes in it.
Yes.
And if you took out your seat, you probably have bolts that fit in it really well that are also crash tested and really strong and really big. So absolutely, especially the front of the Miata, like we made fun of that hump, but it puts a threaded hole exactly where you want it.
And add some strength to your floor plan across it because it's a brace.
Yes. So you're on the second episode. Your sliders are mounted. Your seat has brackets bolted to it. Now you've got to attach the seat bracket to the sliders. Now, depending on the width, you might be able to just slap those brackets right on top of the sliders and weld them right up. Of course, after you clean the paint off in the right spots. But you might also be able to bolt the sliders to the brackets with the right spacing. Understand that's going to add weight. So in a sports car, probably something else to try. If none of this is
going to add height, not weight, mental. Height.
I'm sorry.
The critical point.
You wrote height and I still said weight, even though I told myself not to do that. It's going to add height. And even on a hard roof car, you don't have a convertible like a Miata or a T-top. If the helmet goes above the halo bar, and they may not test this when you're going through tech, I have seen a car that landed on its roof, ground through the roof, and started grinding through a helmet. Now, the driver was okay, but they saw the top of their helmet and freaked out a little bit. Make sure you're passing that broomstick test. Now, depending on the width, you might be able to just, you might be able to just bolt that up. Now, if none of that works, you're going to need to modify your brackets or your sliders to get things to line up, or in many cases, both. Some suggestions are welding some angle iron to the sides of the sliders to give them more width, or some flat stock or angle iron to the left and right of the sliders, and then weld these to the sliders and the brackets. So you're adding or subtracting space to make sure that everything is staying flat and square. Either way, Chris and Jeff and Chrissy all touched on this. This is not where you're trying to save weight. This is not the windshield wiper motor is 6 pounds. Build it hard and sturdy. You are going to be taking the seat itself in and out several times as the sole goes on. And every time you weld or mark, make sure you've got the seat actually bolted in place firmly so that the mounting holes are exactly in the right places when it's finally time to put the seat in for the last time, because there are few things in this world as frustrating as getting the seat bolted and then the last bolt is just a degree off and you can't make it work without cross-threading it, because then you got to take the whole thing out and start beating on stuff to make it bend and work.
Never done that one before, have you? Nope.
Didn't come from experience.
Nope, never does. When you get that mad and you're like, it's so frustrating. Yes, I completely understand.
It's when you get the drill out and just start hogging it out.
Well, you do. I don't, because then I'm going to get in trouble if I do. Yeah. Hello.
I'm with Chrissy. You know, Chris. Yeah, you're here to make the hole bigger, and I am manipulate metal into compliance with rage.
And you were like, this is fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. You can get away with it a little bit better than I can. Chris is like, what's wrong? And I'm like, just fix this bolt. And I'm like, and he just does it. And I'm like,
I just cut shit and get crap later. Jeff, why'd you make the hole so damn big?
Yes, all of this. We're losing all over the place, all of these things.
Anyway, back to seats.
Okay, we're getting ready let's install this new seat. We've done so much work already. Let's install this. Okay, when you're finalizing your brackets, your sliders, or bolting everything down, your seat will be out of the car, right? So you're going to try to put all this stuff together. Once you're completely sure that everything's secured, painted, sliders are lubricated, then you are ready to put the seat in as simply as sliding it between the brackets and bolting it in with the high quality bolts that you bought from the last episode. Make sure that you have your anti-submarine, your sub belt in place and thread it through the center. You have to figure out, I'm going off kilter here, figure out how you can slide your seat belt in, right? So you probably have to do it from the top. So make sure that because the mechanism on the sub belt is bigger than the hole is usually. Mm-hmm. So you have to make sure that you put that in first and then put the seat in, because you can't put the seat belt in and then thread it through the top. Depends on how big the hole is and all that good stuff. But make sure you do that before you bolt it in, because again, like I said before, I dealt with all of this and it just makes you mad. Anyway, so it's nearly and it's also impossible to make sure. I mean, this is back to like a belts episode. Make sure that your belts are in correctly on the loop or however they're supposed to be bolted in before you bolt the seat in. Let's talk about that as well. Adjustment is just terrible, and make sure it's all ready. And so make sure that everything is the way you want it. Test fit it multiple times before you bolt the seat in. Then install your seat, and then hopefully you only do this once. That's what I'm going to say, because I did it 3 times this weekend.
Awesome.
Maybe
Does anyone have anything else to say on the topic of seats before we move on to our final segment? All right. Final segment time. Somebody's got a question for the listeners.
I have a quick question. I need to buy a new helmet. When I was trying helmets on at a gear place, it was at Pit Race. They had a trailer with stuff. The 2 that fit me best were Black Armor and RI. Black Armor was notably cheaper and had communications options, so I was going to go with that. Their website doesn't seem to have anything on it, and I emailed them a while ago. I haven't heard anything back. Does anybody know anything about what's going on at Black Armor? Are they still existing? Do they sell anything? Does anybody know? If anybody has any clues, let me know, because I'd like to buy their stuff. They're not making it easy, which is kind of a shame. I really don't want to go spend $1,000 on an RI that has no comms and stuff, and then just have to drill it and do stuff like I did with my $300 Pyrotect. So that's all. If anybody knows anything about Black Armor, let me know.
Heard really good things about the RI.
Yeah, the RIs, they're great.
Yeah.
They don't come with the communication package. I'm just be doing the same damn thing I have now with my old Pyrotect and wear earbuds and drill the harness in and sticking it with tape
built-in comm.
I know, but a
Built-in
root
comm
doesn't
is
fit my head.
super.
And a Stilo Stilo doesn't fit very well
No.
either. So I'm trying to find the good comfortable one that has all the options.
I didn't realize Black Armor had gone dark. I actually know some people that were quasi-sponsored by them, and I will and we will have an update on the next show, because the other good thing about Black Armor is they were made in America.
Yeah,
America.
So that's what I was asking. If anybody out there knows, I would like to find out more, because I want to buy something.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Anyway.
It is Thursday. What is it? 24th? 24th of February?
Wednesday.
Sorry, Wednesday the 24th. And all of the news of world is of Twitter. In case you haven't heard, Tiger Woods crashed a brand new Genesis SUV and nearly died. So he was leaving his charity golf tournament sponsored by Genesis in his courtesy Genesis GV80. And it is on every single news station everywhere. I had no idea Genesis even had an SUV. By the way, it's kind of sexy.
Oh, it's
quite good.
It is
It's everything I've heard. It's quite good.
Oh,
Not
wait
only
do you see this interior, Chrissy?
I don't know
does it
about
look
that
good?
grill though. I need a
The
different
grill's a
grill.
little ostentatious, but
It's just a little. It's kind of the interior.
But it
Interior
drives
is
great.
fantastic.
It drives great. Everyone loves it. It is everything that is lovely. When car show season starts again, expect all of us to get to the pre-licked cars and sit in one of those as soon as possible.
Heck, we've always liked the Genesis, to sit in the Genesis, because they're just lovely
Yeah.
cars.
comfortable. Yeah.
So before
Like,
I get to the question, I want to say, get well soon, Tiger. I don't understand why people watch golf, but I know you're the GOAT. Is this hella sweet or but terrible for Genesis that their name is plastered all over everything? The tournament, the accident, everything. And by the way, it looks like this might be the end of Tiger's career, because he is really messed up. Jaws of life, fib-tib fracture.
Can you tell me, this is a preemptive question because it sounds like you know more about the situation than I do, because I don't know about the situation. What happened? Like, what was he just like on an on-ramp and
He just
like
went
the
around
car?
a corner too fast,
Yes,
basically,
yes.
and slid
Driving
off the road
while
going too
angry
fast.
is the current. It was like 9 in the morning.
And
Fine
apparently
situations like
it went
dry.
It went end over end and fell down a 450-foot embankment.
No expected alcohol, no expected anything.
Right, I heard that, but there's nothing. But it was dry, like just like a bad turn kind of thing.
Yep. There
Wow.
is some discussion that he was very angry and driving at a very high rate of speed.
Oh, okay.
So, but I don't. That is pure conjecture. I have
Sure.
none of those facts.
That's fine. I just wasn't sure if you knew more about it than I do. Mental
All
was
right.
first.
Hella sweet or about terrible? Mental. What do you think?
It depends on whether or not he recovers. Even if he's not competitive, if he picks up a golf club again, Genesis will be like, we're the vehicle that saved Tiger Woods.
They are saying it is lucky he is alive.
Facts. Yeah.
Well, maybe
I'm
that's
with mental.
Yeah.
I'm with mental. He didn't die. It was apparently pretty horrific kind of incident. Like he went down a cliff, right? The car looks pretty decent considering how bad.
There's footage of the.
Yes,
There's
I was
pictures of the
able
car.
to tell exactly what car it was.
And how many times have all of the news medias said Genesis for a brand that doesn't have great brand recognition?
That's exactly what I was thinking. That's exactly what I was
Now everyone's like, what the hell's a Genesis? Tiger Woods
we
driver?
literally all just
He didn't
Googled
die.
and posted that picture of what the car looked like. I don't know what the car looked like.
And we all went, ooh, that's pretty.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's not bad.
Not only is it like we're all Googling Genesis, but here, I'll bring the picture up for those of us who are on YouTube.
Thank you.
It says
Oh, okay,
Genesis
then.
right on the side, like Genesis tournament.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
So-
branded.
The front end got pulled pretty hard, but look at the pano roof intact.
Oh, wow. I completely missed that.
Right?
It did not even crack the glass. And I
All
bet
the
that
side
front
airbags are
windshield-
gone.
Yeah, that
Well, the
front
windshield- I
windshield
think
was done
they-
by the rescue.
Yeah, but all the
Maybe.
rest of the glass intact. Side
Wow.
airbags have gone off. The front disintegrated because it's supposed to. It's called a crumple zone. That's why
Yeah.
it does it. But the
I mean,
structures,
that wreckage
structures
picture,
there.
and I'm sorry, we're doing bad pod, but yeah, look up. We're looking at foxbusiness.com. Tiger Woods was driving a Genesis, and
Yeah, it's all over the internet. You can't miss finding this.
if you just care to look at it, because I just hadn't. But that just doesn't look like a bad crash from those car pictures. I mean, I'm sure it was if you rolled down it and
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah,
the safety structure of the car around the passenger compartment held up. I mean, the rest of it is supposed to give way. That's the point.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Car died. to
I'm going
protect
with
him.
hella sweet for the company too. I had no idea Genesis was making a car, and I do a car podcast or making a truck, and I do a car podcast. So, and I'm shopping
Fair.
for a new car, so I get like ads delivered to me all the time. Like every time I'm on Facebook, it's like women's lingerie car, women's lingerie,
Right.
car, women's lingerie. Car,
right.
so
I wasn't going to bring it. I
I
hate
was
you
just-
that you brought that up. Not me.
I mean, it's non-gender
That
specific.
was a
lingerie,
private
Jack.
text message.
Whatever you feel good in. And
Hey,
there's
man,
no
we
kink
don't
shame.
kink shame. We love you, Jeff.
We
no matter
don't.
what.
We don't. We went over it a couple
Valentine's Day,
times.
everybody. Valentine's Day for everyone. All right, so I got hella sweet from Mental. I got hella sweet from Chrissy.
I mean, it's a hell sweet for the brand.
For the
Is that what
brand,
we're talking
yes.
about?
Yes, it is obviously not good for Tiger, and we wish him
Yeah,
well.
Yeah,
I'm
I think
trying
it
to
is.
say that.
I agree. I mean, it's because people are talking about it. They don't necessarily realize what Genesis kind of, I think, rolls under the
It's a Hyundai
it's hard.
manufacturer. Yeah.
But no, I'm sorry. No, my point was it's hard to identify from the road, right? So it's not one of those like flashy. It's kind of, it's a sedan. It's beautiful. It's nice, but it's sleek. It's like, oh, is that a Mercedes? No, it's not. I'm like, oh, it's gone now. I don't know what it is. So I think Genesis doesn't need something like this, but needs to get in front of people more to know that it's its own brand.
Mhm.
So I don't necessarily think that people are like, well, what's a Genesis, right? Oh, I didn't realize they had this car. Where the things that we're talking about are making it so that we're talking about it, and it saved his life. So yeah, I'm hell sweet. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm hell sweet too.
A whole lot better than his last SUV crash.
That's true.
What was that?
All right, so we before Jeff gets there, because he's already busted
We'll
out.
explain it to you later, Chrissy.
Okay, thanks.
For our devoted listeners, well, basically Bill, Eric, Kurt, Chrissy's family, way back in our early episodes, think like the teen episodes, we fell in love with a team that was running a Maserati bi-turbo in the Midwest and Northeast champ races. We've been wanting to talk to these folks for years. We used to say, if this is you, reach out and find us. As luck would have it, the cars related to our guest from Apex adjacent. So the builder, owner, driver reached out to us, and he is even more interesting than you expect for a guy who races a 35-year-old Maserati in entry-level endurance racing. And we are really looking forward to having him on next week's episode. It's going to be great.
Well, and his son is on a podcast, and he's not been on his son's podcast. So, you know. Anyway, thank you for downloading us. We hope you've enjoyed this week's edition of Everyone Racers. We also hope you'll join us in the world of driving, racing, and building, because everyone can be a racer, even you, as long as you fit in the seat. If you enjoyed this podcast, subscribe. It's totally free. Then go to iTunes and give us a 5-star rating. Even if you hated us, tell us why. If you're watching on the YouTube, talk to us down there in the doodly-doo. Right down there. Just type right to it. If you have any show ideas or questions, or you know where what is it, Chris? What's the helmet company?
Black
Armor.
Black Armor race,
helmet.
why their helmet is there. Hit us up on our Facebook page or Everyone Racers, or email us at everyone.racers@gmail.com. You can still text us 484-243-0455. Find us on the Instagrams or the Twitters at Everyone Racers. We're officially on Spotify. Didn't know we weren't on Spotify. Recommend us to your
Bruce pimped us, yes.
Oh, okay. Recommend us to your Spotify buddies. Thanks again, and until next week, keep that seat bolted down with the big old plates.